Okay, I just need to add another element to my seat structure. It's the rails that are holding the seat legs to the floor, basically. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle. So I bring my cursor to the main toolbar for my NURBS tools. And I'm going to use the third icon called rectangle in 3 points. So I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to put myself maybe in wireframe mode for the top viewport. Just zoom in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the smart track. Make sure that planar is checked, okay, is active, I mean. And I'm going to have the endpoint checked on my snapping toolbar. So I'm going to bring my cursor. So I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to do, but what you see in black here on the top viewport, these are the hind legs, the back legs of my seat structure. So I'm just going to bring my cursor and I'm just going to hover to this point here, and it's going to snap in end, and you're going to see that the smart track is activated because it turned there's a little gray dot. All right, that means it's active. And I'm just going to bring it a bit back, not too much, but about here like this, and I'm going to place my first point. So I just left click. I'm going to do it again. So I'm just going to bring my cursor near that corner, snap to the endpoint. You see that it turned into a little gray dot. That means the virtual smart track is active. And I'm just going to bring it like this so that I can align it up properly. And I'm just going to press shift. That way I can find the intersect, and I just left click. And there's my rectangle that I can pull. And I'm going to bring it all the way forward. So I look at the perspective view as well. And let's say about here. Now I can see that I need to make some adjustment. So I'm just going to take this rectangle that I sketched, make sure that it's nice and planar like I have done. I'm just going to bring it down a notch about here. So now that I've done this rectangle, I'm just going to extrude it straight up. So I'm going to go to the solid, extrude planar curve, straight, and I'm going to make it about, I don't know, this big. Now I can see that it's a bit too narrow, so I'm just going to select my rectangle, and with the gumball, I'm just going to click on the red handle to make a scale 1D. So meaning in the X direction, I'm just going to scale it to make it a bit wider like that. All right, so that's good. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you something else. If you want to modify your rectangle, you can always use the scale 1D in this direction with the gumball. Definitely can do that. But there's another little function when you create a solid, and it's only applicable to solids, by the way. You go in the solid menu, you go all the way down where it says solid edit tools, and it says turn on points. I'm going to click on that, and you can see that there are little points appearing here. So when you create a solid, you can always modify it by turning on these control points, and then I select them, and with my gumball I can drag this part only and extend it. All right, and then once you're happy with what you've done, you just press escape to remove the control points. Okay, so now I'm gonna draw a circle. I'm gonna use the smart track again. I'm gonna snap in mid with my snapping toolbar, and I'm gonna snap, you can see, to this mid here so that I can drag my first circle about here. Well, actually, let's make it about here. And let's make it as wide as possible. Something like that. All right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat this pattern. Sorry, not this, but the circle. I'm going to repeat it all the way along the length of that leg. Maybe I'm going to select this. I'm going to go back to solid, edit tools, turn on points. I'm going to select these control points, and I'm just going to drag them a bit more forward as well, like that. Okay, and then you press escape to remove the control points. Now, if you bring your cursor here in the main toolbar, you can see that it says rectangular array. I'm going to expand the toolbar, and there are different types of array that you can make. All right. So in my previous tutorials, I do explain one by one what they do, these different types of arrays, but the one actually that I'm more interested in is the first one. It's called the rectangular array. So I'm just going to click on this one, and then I'm going to select my object to array, which is a circle. Then I right click. So the number in the X direction. If you pay attention to my grid, the yellow axis is the X direction, the blue axis is the Y direction. So in the X direction, I don't want any repetition along this direction. All right, so I'm just going to maintain 1. So I'm just going to right click and keep by default. Then the next question is, it's asking me its number in the Y direction. So that's the one I'm more interested in. So I'm going to type a random number like 12 and right click. And in the Z direction, so that means upwards. I don't want any repetition in the Z direction. So I'm just going to right click to maintain this at 1. So here you've got the next question is the Y spacing, the distance from one circle to the next and so on. So there are different ways of doing this. You can key in a value, or you can also, I'm going to snap in center so that I can find the center of my circle like that. And then I'm just going to drag, and you can visually see what it looks like with 12 repetitions. So let's say you can click, let's say that I click about here. All right. Now you see a little preview with all the white circles. Okay. So that means the array function is still active. You're not done yet. And if you want to change the spacing or the number of repetitions, so let's say you can change the spacing by clicking on Y spacing here, okay, in the command line, or I'm going to change maybe to add another one. So let's say instead of 12, I want 13, and you can see that an additional circle has been added on my rail. And once you're happy with it, so let's say that I'm happy with that, okay, I'm just going to right click. Oops, right click and accept the value. All right. So I've done that. What I'm going to do a bit is modify slightly the hind legs so that I can fit it more into the circle like that. Perfect. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to create another rectangle. So what I want to do is start a rectangle. So I'm going to start at the mid here. So I'm going to go back to my rectangle toolbar. I'm going to click on, yeah, let's try with the center corner. So the second icon in the rectangle toolbar. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on mid. And I'm just going to draw a simple rectangle. Maybe I'm going to deactivate the smart track. And I'm just going to draw initially a rectangle. I don't want to make it too big either, but something like that. All right, something that looks like that. And I'm just going to drag this rectangle and make it with the gumball. I scale 1D to make it a bit longer and move it so that you have something close to what I've done in my on my viewport. Okay. So I'm just going to select my rectangle. I'm just going to select all my curves. So I just do a box selection basically. And I'm just going to select my circle and the rectangle that I just sketched. And I'm just going to do once like I've always done before. I'm going to go where the select all icon is. I'm going to expand the toolbar and go and find the invert selection. And I'm just going to hide this temporarily so that I can focus on this only. So now I can use an operation that's going to clean up, that's going to trim off all my circles. So there are different ways of doing this. You can definitely use the trim function and start cleaning up, or I can show you something else. If I expand the toolbar under fillet curves, so my curve tools toolbar, and you've got this icon here called curve boolean. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to select, so here I've got delete input equals no, so I'm going to say delete input equals all. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Make sure combine region equals yes. All right. And I'm going to leave the rest as default. So output equals curves, simplify curves equals yes. And it says basically select all the curves. So I'm going to select all these curves in one shot and I'm going to right click. And then it says click inside regions to keep. So I'm just going to maximize my top viewport for you to see better. I'm just going to click inside the region. This one, this one, this one, this one. And I go on like this. So basically what it's doing when I'm clicking like that, it's similar to the Boolean difference or unions that you've experienced with the solid tools. it's doing the same thing with the curves. It's doing a Boolean operation basically. So I'm basically saying to the software, keep everything that is intersecting. I want it to be all included, and you're gonna join all these into one item basically. So you're gonna see what I'm talking about once I've completed all. So just click inside the region, and it should be grayed out like you see like this in my screen. And I just right click to complete, and there you have it. You just end up with a nice silhouette. So it did a Boolean operation for that. So once I've done that, I'm going to bring back everything else by unhiding my objects. And now that I've done this, I have a nice planar curve. And again, I want to insist on the fact that you need to make sure that it's a closed curve. Obviously, it has to be a closed curve, otherwise your Boolean operation won't work. And I'm just going to extrude that planar curve. Sorry, that planar curve. So solid, extrude planar curve, straight. And yeah, I'm going to click on both sides. It goes yes. I'm going to switch myself into the ghosted mode. And I just want to see how deep I can go. Something like that. All right. And I can go actually even deeper. So I'm just going to select this. Maybe put myself in this view. And just with the gumball, bring it down to about this much. Switch back to the shaded mode, and then I'm going to do a Boolean difference. I've got a solid here, I have a solid there. Before I do that, I'm going to again modify my leg a bit. I'm just going to select the rectangle and just make it a bit longer like that. All right, and now I'm going to do a Boolean difference. So under the Boolean union, again the same thing, second icon called Boolean difference. Select the first item that you want to subtract from. So right click. Oops, let's do it again. Select the first item to subtract, and then what to subtract with, and there you have it. Okay, so I create this little rail like that, and then I'm just gonna, well, the curve I don't need anymore, so I'm just gonna delete that, and I'm just gonna mirror this on the other side. So I'm gonna click on the middle mouse button for the pop-up toolbar, and I've already included the mirror function, so I'm just gonna left click on that, type in 0 for the origin, press shift to lock it along the Y direction, and left click. Just make sure that copy equals yes once again. And there you have it. So I've done this. So obviously I could spend more and more time to fine tune and add details, you know. Like I said, you know, I could add some stitches. Maybe I'm going to do this in between videos. So you've learned everything that you need to know about how to do the stitches, how to create the cushions, how to use the NURBS tools, how to do the Boolean differences, and so on. So this is very good. So in between videos, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make some little modifications, moving vertices here and there, just to fine tune, maybe add a few details. Oh yeah, I should add a little box here. So I'm going to leave that to you to do it on your own. You don't need to see this, how I do it, because it's very simple and it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to use a Subdivision rectangle that I'm just going to start shaping so that it follows so that it fills that hole basically, and that it looks aesthetically pleasing, I guess. Yeah, and maybe I'm gonna add stitches here. So have fun, you know, practice, and once you feel like you're pretty much done with your object, we're gonna move on to adding materials using the Rhino legacy renderer, and how to use what they called, it's new in V7 by the way, it's called the Rhino PBR. So PBR stands for physically based render, and it's how to add, it makes the rendering even more realistic than the default. You have different types of materials now in Rhino. You have the PBR materials, and you've got the basic Rhino materials that you can use as well. And I'm going to show you how to create these materials in both cases, and how to complete this little project together. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.